Good. All right, getting ready for a rematch 7 years in the making. I mean, is that in itself a little bit crazy to you that, you've been at this game so long that you can be looking at a fight from 7 years ago?
Now that you say it, yeah. Didn't really think of it like that. Yeah, I mean, Leon's a tough guy. I always knew that skillful fighter, and I always knew that he would make his way through the division. I didn't know how far he would get, but, he's here now, so we got to deal with him.
Stylistically, obviously, it's going to be, you would think, different. I mean, you guys have both improved greatly since the first meeting. But I just wonder, I mean, in that time, in 7 years, can his wrestling get better than your wrestling? Can your striking get better than his striking? I mean, can those flip on either side, or is this still kind of a similar fight?
Not a similar fight. I think we're both much more experienced, which means we're both going to take our time and be able to, now we could set up kind of what we want to set up. And pull out some of the tricks, that we plan to. But one thing for sure, there's a reason wrestling is the hardest sport in the world. 7 years, it can improve greatly. It can improve greatly to where you're utilizing it better, you're defending better with it. But when it comes down to it, let's be honest, he don't want to wrestle with me. And it just doesn't matter. I've been doing this for almost over 20 years, and 7 years, yeah, it's not going to get better than mine. It's going to be effective, but it's not going to get better than mine.
Obviously, as we said, stylistically, it's going to be a different fight. I mean, a fight is a fight. But do you think you have like a little mental edge over him just for the fact that, like, hey, we did this before, and you know what happened?
Yeah, let's be honest. When it comes down to it at the end of the day, when it's him and I locked in there, if we can shut out everybody, he knows what's going to happen, and I know what's going to happen.
I know sometimes you don't worry so much about legacy, let other people decide that, but tying Anderson Silva's record of most consecutive wins, I mean, is that something, an accomplishment that does stand out to you as like, wow, this is pretty special? It is.
It's a special accomplishment since you guys have brought it to my attention once again, because I didn't know that until the last week or two. Yeah, it is special. It goes to, it's one of those things that just it lets you know all the work that you've put in over the years and all the training and the guidance from your coaches and your team to get to the point where Anderson Silva was doing the sport before I knew about the sport. And I remember when I started watching the UFC, that was the man. That's the guy to watch. And now, being in a position to be able to tie that record, it means a lot to me.
Last thing for me, you pick up a big win on Saturday. Are you at UFC 279 cage side next month to see who wins that fight and maybe see what your future is, or do you not worry about what else is going on in the division with fights like Hamzat and Nate?
79, that's those two?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I think, is it here in the States?
Vegas.
Where?
Vegas.
Vegas? No, I think what is that, September what? 10th? Yeah, no. Probably be overseas somewhere for a much-needed vacation. And, it's probably Fashion Week. So I got to take my talents to Fashion Week and see what's going on out there.
Kamaru, when you hear people talk about you being the GOAT of the division or even the GOAT of the sport, is it kind of surreal to you to hear that, or is that something that you kind of always expected when you started doing this?
No, it's very, very surreal. And I think that's what sets me apart is in my own head, I know where I'm at. And it's never enough for me. And so, when people are saying some of those things, it's like, oh, that's great. But in my head, I know what's enough. So this is one thing that and I'm sure a lot of people in my position feel the same way. When people say, oh, stay humble, stay humble, stay humble. What? Don't fucking tell me that. I'm humble. I know what humble is. In my own head, I know what humble is. The reason I continue to excel is because I know what humble is. To everyone, they might see you and think, oh, you're becoming that big of a star. Stay humble, stay humble. In my head, I'm still this way. I'm this guy. And so at the end of the day, when I'm naked and I look at myself in the mirror, I'm still the guy that I was when I was 3 years old. So, that's just that. I continue to strive.
So with that in mind, that said, do you feel that you're still chasing GOAT status, or are you defending it at this point?
No, I just want to put one foot in front of the other. As long as I continue, like I've said before, as long as I continue to knock off the next guy and the next guy and the next guy, when I walk away from this sport, all of you guys are going to be like, shit, that dude did some work while he was here.